The question of the century. Which version of Momoshiki does Boruto possess? Now the answer to that question is probably already in the title of the video. I haven't really decided as yet, but if it is, then the answer to that question isn't really the pull to the video. It's how I got to that conclusion, which is what I'm going to get into right now. So if you like the video, drop a like, and if you're new to the channel, remember to hit subscribe. Now let's get into the video. So we all know that Momoshiki gave Boruto his karma seal when he got packed up by Boruto's father's son, Rasengan. This was clearly shown in every continuity of the Boruto series, the movie, manga, and anime included. So that much is undeniable. First, I want to address the very clear indicators that proves that Boruto is utilizing Base Momoshiki's abilities, not Fuse Momoshiki's abilities. Now the first example of this is pretty clear. Whenever we see Momoshiki interact with Boruto or anyone in the series post dying and post giving Boruto his karma seal, he's in his base form. So this should be a clear indicator that this is Base Momoshiki, right? Now the problem really lies with the theories out there stating that this is Fuse Momoshiki in his base form, and specifically because of his damaged horns. Now we're going to get into that later on in the video, but I just wanted to make it clear that whenever Boruto interacts with Momoshiki multiple times throughout the series post-death, Momoshiki is always in his base form. Now the next case in point we have here to back up this Base Momoshiki claim is that Fuse Momoshiki had a golden Byakugan after consuming Kinshiki. However, when we see Base Momoshiki, he's utilizing a base Byakugan, and whenever he takes over Boruto's body in his Borishiki state, he doesn't have a golden Byakugan, he's using a base Byakugan. Now again, this could lend to the theory that this is Fuse Momoshiki in base, but this lends to the question, why would he be in a less powerful state? Now we're gonna get to that later on in the video. Now the next case in point we have here is that Boruto is not utilizing Fuse Momoshiki's abilities. Now while you could argue that he doesn't have the Renegon, the fact still remains that Fuse Momoshiki has abilities that were not Renegon based. And as a matter of fact, all of Kinshiki's abilities were non-Renegon based since Kinshiki didn't have a Renegon. Yet, Boruto has never used one of Kinshiki's abilities nor Momoshiki's abilities, even though he's 82% Otsutsuki or 82% Momoshiki, while Kawaki is using Ishiki's Dojutsu abilities at the same extraction percentage. What this implies is that Boruto is likely drawn on the power of Base Momoshiki, who didn't display any abilities outside the Renegon ability he used to materialize the chakra rods and the ability to absorb jutsu and send it back at twice the strength. These are abilities Boruto wouldn't have access to since he doesn't have Momoshiki's Renegons. He hasn't manifested them as yet. However, it's good to note that Base Momoshiki displayed no other abilities outside of the Renegon abilities, while Fuse Momoshiki displayed non-Renegon abilities. So it would be okay to assume that if Boruto had Fuse Momoshiki, he would have been using Fuse Momoshiki's non-Renegon abilities since he doesn't have Momoshiki's Renegons, but he hasn't. This implies that Boruto is tapping into Base Momoshiki's power instead, which explains why he hasn't displayed any abilities. Another key difference between the two forms is that Borishiki displays Momoshiki's base form horns. He doesn't have Fuse Momoshiki's horns. So if the theory is that the Momoshiki that's showing to us in Boruto's mindscape is just in his base form, why is it that when Boruto taps into his power, he's still tapping into Base Momoshiki if Base Momoshiki is now Fuse Momoshiki? Why doesn't he have like Fuse Momoshiki's horns? Now you could say because Momoshiki is in his base form, then Boruto is just manifesting his base form features, but he's still using the power of Fuse Momoshiki. But I don't think that's the case, and I'm gonna tell you why. Now the reason why people think that Boruto is utilizing Fuse Momoshiki's power over Base Momoshiki's power is because Base Momoshiki, the one that is showed to us in Boruto's mindscape, has destroyed horns. Now this might be confusing, but if you go back to when Boruto killed Fuse Momoshiki, you can see that the Rasengan eviscerated parts of his horns. And that's the only time we saw Momoshiki losing his horns. He didn't lose it in base form. So people are taking this to mean that Boruto is utilizing Fused Momoshiki's power because this Momoshiki is displaying damage from Fused Momoshiki's body. Now I do get where they're coming from, but I disagree. I have a different viewpoint on the horn fiasco. Now, to understand why the horns thing doesn't prove that Boruto is utilizing Fused Momoshiki, we need to understand what Fused Momoshiki is. And I think that's where the confusion lies. Fused Momoshiki isn't a different version of Base Momoshiki. Fused Momoshiki is Base Momoshiki upgraded. He's still Base Momoshiki. It's not a different body. They're not separate entities. They're the same person. It's like Goku going into Super Saiyan 3. Or let's say Goku fusing with Vegeta and going into Vegito or Gogeta. It's his body. It's the same body. So whatever happens to Gogeta's body, whatever happens to Vegito's body, whatever happens to Goku in Super Saiyan 4 or Super Saiyan 3 happens to Goku in Base. The same damage will be reflected upon Goku when he returns to his base form because it's not a separate body, it's his body, but in an upgraded state. It's the same thing for Fused Momoshiki. Now I think the biggest problem lies in the name of the form, which is Fused Momoshiki. Now I don't know if this is officially stated in a databook that that's what the form is called, but that's what everybody calls it because Momoshiki fused with Kinshiki. But again, that's not what happened. He absorbed Kinshiki's power. He transformed Kinshiki into a chakra fruit, then consumed that chakra fruit. And what does a chakra fruit consist of? Chakra. So he transformed Kinshiki into chakra, then consumed that chakra and leveled up into his ultimate form. So it technically isn't Fused Momoshiki, it's just Momoshiki in his ultimate form, which is this new version of Momoshiki. Now even if the form is officially called Fused Momoshiki, it's not that they did a literal fusion dance and became one being. No, he turned him into a chakra fruit and consumed him in a chakra format. That's what he did. And then upgraded with Kinshiki's power. Fused Momoshiki didn't take on any likeness from Kinshiki. It doesn't look like him in any way, shape, or form. He just looks like Momoshiki in an upgraded state. He didn't take any features from this absorption. He just took his power. At base level, this is still Momoshiki, just in a powered up state, similar to how Urashiki consumed his renegades and transformed into a awakened state. He didn't absorb another Otsutsuki, all he did was consume a lot of power, and we know that a lot of power is stored within renegades. So him consuming his renegades boosted his powers by a lot. We saw Urashiki consume the chakras he collected from multiple beings and stored in his pouch. We saw him consume that and then said, "This is not enough." So he then resorted to consuming his eyes, which contains power, which contains chakra. And this then allowed him to level up. It allowed him to awaken into his new state. A similar thing happened to Momoshiki. He consumed a lot of power from turning Kinshiki into a chakra fruit, which leveled him up and forced him to awaken, similar to Urashiki. So because this body is still Momoshiki's body, whatever damage he takes in this form is going to reflect on base Momoshiki. Because again, this is just an awakened state. He can still go back to his base form, which is exactly what happened, and we're gonna get to that. But the point I'm trying to drive home here is that he transformed into this awakened state because of the chakra boost he got from eating this chakra fruit that he transformed Kinshiki into. But the body itself remains Momoshiki's body, which is why when the body dies, Momoshiki dies. Momoshiki didn't just pop out of the body and go back into his base form. No, he died along with the body because the body is his body. So whatever damage he suffered to his horns would reflect on any version of Momoshiki because it's his body. Now the next question would be, since Momoshiki was in his fused state when he gave Boruto his karma seal, why is he in base form in Boruto's mindscape, and why is Boruto using base Momoshiki's power as I've theorized? Now this is how I've rationalized it. I believe that the Fused Momoshiki transformation, or the awakening state that Momoshiki got when he consumed Kinshiki's chakra fruit, was a temporary awakening. It was a upgraded state, similar to how Goku can go to Super Saiyan Blue and Super Saiyan 3, but Momoshiki, the Otsutskis, they need an immense chakra boost in order to achieve this form. But when that chakra runs out, they inevitably revert back to their base form. That's what I've theorized, and I think it makes sense. Now the reason why I believe that Momoshiki didn't have enough chakra, which is why he reverted back to his base form, is because Jigen kinda confirmed it when he said that Momoshiki mustered up enough chakra to leave a karma seal behind before he died. And we know that Momoshiki had to pop a few pills a few moments before he had his clash with Boruto and used that giant Rasengan against Boruto's Naruto and Kurama infused Rasengan, which means that he had to put a lot of power into that Rasengan to contend with Boruto. And the fact that he lost proves that he expended the amount of energy that he could, but Boruto ended up winning with the stronger Rasengan. Momoshiki, realizing that he is about to die, decided to use his last remaining amounts of chakra, which we know takes a lot of power, which was confirmed by Ishiki, which is why he had to live inside Jigen's mind before he could give him his karma seal. He didn't have enough chakra to do so.
Can you sense my presence, human child?
What the?
So Momoshiki used up all of his remaining chakra to give Boruto this karma seal, and because he used up all of his chakra, he reverted back to his base form since he didn't have enough power to maintain this awakened state. Now the karma itself was stated to be a compressed Otsutsuki backup file that basically extracts the Otsutsuki's genetic data into the host. So what the karma seal did in that moment was copy Momoshiki's genetic data as it was in that moment, which was Base Momoshiki, because he used the power to create the karma. Fused Momoshiki is not a genetic state. Fused Momoshiki is a awakened state because of this power boost he got from Kinshiki's chakra fruit. So what the karma is trying to replicate here when he uses karma is Momoshiki's base genetics, as in Momoshiki's DNA, because the purpose of karma is to create a Otsutsuki backup file of that specific Otsutsuki. Now if you want to argue that the chakra fruit also contained genetic material for Kinshiki and that was why he transformed into the form and whatever, you could argue that, and I'd say fine, we don't have any evidence to prove otherwise, so sure, we can let it in. But then again, I would argue that possibly the karma only copies the pure genetic DNA of the original Otsutsuki and it ignores any foreign DNA, which would include Kinshiki's DNA. So it's also possible that that is the case, but we don't have any proof to prove otherwise. So I guess this is just like headcanon really. But all in all, these are the reasons why I think that what Boruto has inside of him right now is Base Momoshiki, because the Momoshiki that had fused Momoshiki's powers had the chakra fruit, the power of the chakra fruit he consumed from Kinshiki, but he used all that power in his fight against Naruto and Sasuke, and then with Boruto with that giant Rasengan, and that reduced his power by a lot. And then he had to create a karma seal, which we know takes a lot of chakra. So this reverted him back to his base form, which because he needs this power to maintain this awakened state, and he didn't have that power anymore. And this is why the version of Momoshiki that exists within Boruto is Base Momoshiki. Now you could argue that if Boruto were to, let's say, consume another chakra fruit or very powerful source of chakra, he may be able to enter this fused Momoshiki state once again. But as for now, the Momoshiki that's in Boruto isn't fused Momoshiki, it's Base Momoshiki. Well, at least based on what I've gathered. But yeah, if you like the video, drop a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And I have a few videos up on the screen right now in the end cards, you know, so one should be up here, one should be down here. But those are my videos, of course, so you guys can check it out. I think I have the Naruto versus Sasuke who's stronger post nerf in one of these, and I think you guys should check it out. It's actually 45 minutes, I think 48 minutes. It's a long video, so you can watch it in multiple installments, but I give my ideas on their forms and, you know, the powers they lost in Boruto and how they scale currently. So it's a good video to check out, and you know, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section on that one. But yeah, you guys have an awesome time. Peace out.